This is genuinely absurd as an insider and writer has proposed a new trade for the Cavaliers to get rid of their starting center in replace of some young talent that gives us a kind of a view on what insiders and writers actually feel about Jarrett Allen and the value where they have him at. The reason I'm calling this absurd is because I don't think this trade makes any sense at all. But again, we don't just cover stuff like this to have some fun and show you guys these obnoxious trade proposals, some being better than others, of course. But the reason that this one is crazy is because it really highlights the fact of a lot of insiders, writers value Jarrett Allen a lot lower than we think. Although this trade has some upside for the Cavaliers, for the most part, it is kind of wonky, and I don't know quite how I feel about it. Thank you guys for joining me here on Cavs Digest. I'm Matt Palange. So happy to be back making another video for you guys. Of course, trade proposals can be fun, but as I said, it's more about how people put into, in their perspective, what they think about a specific player and how they value them when they make these mock trades. This guy has to be a Bulls fan in some way because this trade helps them for the most part. So let's dive into that trade. But before we dive into that trade, go ahead and like and subscribe, and let's get into this video. So the trade we have here is obviously, as I said, and I showed you in the title, it is surrounding Jarrett Allen, the Cavaliers starting center, who has received some controversy by Cavs fans in this offseason. A lot of people do not value him as highly as some others, and as much as I think the Cavs value him, he is the starting center, but a lot of fans have expressed interest, and a lot of writers and analysts too have expressed interest in shipping off Jarrett Allen and trying to send him elsewhere to other teams. Before we look at this trade, let's go ahead and dive into his stats. As just himself, let's kind of focus this beginning of this video onto Jarrett Allen, just talking about his value alone. So he's the best rebound per game player on the Cavaliers, 13.5 points per game on efficient 70% from the field, one of the most efficient inside scorers in the NBA, alongside the guys like Mitchell Robinson, 1 block, 1 steal, 1 turnover. Not too concerned about that, and avoids getting into foul trouble, which might mean that he's not as physical as we want, but overall I think that Jarrett Allen, the clear best rebounder of the team and the clear starting center for the Cavaliers. Obviously, he has his own value in his own way due to the fact that he is a starting center. But for the most part, as I said, a lot of fans have expressed interest in how they're not the biggest Jarrett Allen fans. They would be okay with seeing him shipped off and used as a trade piece in the future. Although I do tell you guys with confidence, those who like Jarrett Allen, and I'll talk about my opinion here in a second, but those who like Jarrett Allen, I do believe that he will be safe for at least this season. So now let's dive into the trade. I know I talked a little bit about Jarrett Allen, but I just want to showcase kind of his value overall and just give you a general background of Jarrett Allen and his statistical impact. So now let's dive into this trade. So let's explore what an Allen trade to Chicago could look like. As I said, it's got to be some sort of Bulls writer of some sort. Cleveland Cavaliers, Chicago Bulls mock trade. The Cleveland Cavaliers received small forward Ayo Dosunmu and power forward Buzelis. I don't know exactly how to pronounce either of those names, to be honest. I think Ayo Dosunmu I've said it correctly, but Buzelis, I think, something like that. I haven't heard that name that much. Obviously, I know he was in the dunk contest. I'm pretty sure he was 7th in Rookie of the Year voting. And the Chicago Bulls received center Jarrett Allen. So I'm very familiar with Ayo and Matas. I just don't hear the pronunciation of their name. But I'm very familiar with those two guys. And then the Chicago Bulls will receive center Jarrett Allen. So Cavs essentially just received 2 forwards. Matas being a 6'10" power forward from Lithuania at 20 years old, came 7th in Rookie of the Year last year, which isn't really that impressive, to be honest, because the rookie class wasn't that deep. While on the other hand, Ayo is a pretty high efficient scorer, high valued scorer on the Bulls at the small forward position, but he also plays the 2 guard as well, alongside Koby White into that Bulls offense. So let's highlight these 2 players in particular and kind of dive into what kind of value they would bring as individuals and why I personally think this trade is bad. But if you were to make this trade, what would be the value of it before we talk about Jarrett Allen again? So first, starting off with Ayo Dosunmu, this is a pure scorer, not that tall, but for the most part, he's just someone that's going to go on the court and get you buckets. 12 points per game, 6'5" shooting guard, small forward, who average about 5 assists, and he's also very willing to use his body and be physical and crash the glass. Again, it comes down to the fit of this team. The only way that this guy would fit on the Cavaliers is if you were to adjust some positioning, such as move him to the shooting guard, have him be the backup 2 or something. But again, Sam Merrill is there anyways. Or if this guy wants to play the point guard position, you could have him be the backup point alongside Lonzo. But Ayo's value is worth more than being, the third point guard on the bench or the third guy on the bench at the shooting guard position. So I believe that the Cavaliers could low-key be ruining Ayo's career if you were, in fact, to make this trade, because I do believe that his value and his talent is worth more than being a backup in general, let alone the third-string guy. And if you kind of dive into Ayo at his absolute best, you just see pure bucket getting. You see a good shot creating ability, and he's also a phenomenal passer. This guy is like the perfect backup guard for a lot of teams. I think the Lakers would be like the best team for this guy at the backup point guard position. And if we didn't get Lonzo, I would have been all over them getting this guy. But if you do not know, the Cavs already made a trade with the Bulls to acquire Lonzo Ball. So I don't think this trade with Jarrett Allen is going to happen anyways. But of course, we always have to talk about this to dive into what people think about certain players around the league. So that's Ayo as a player, great scorer. But again, this would be our starting center, and this would leave us with literally no center unless you want to start Mobley at the 5, but that's a whole different story. Now we can dive into Matas. This is just a super athletic young player, 20 years old, from Lithuania. Was participated in a dunk contest this year. Didn't really impress much fans with that performance, but overall, super athletic, has some of the most potential out of all the rookies last year, in my opinion. I would put him in the top 5. Although he didn't have the best rookie season statistically, I do totally believe that he has one of the most upside, considering he stayed healthy, played 80 games. He's 6'10". He's athletic. He can stretch the floor. He's just not a great rebounder. If you were to make this trade, who in the hell would rebound the basketball? I just want to throw that out there because I'm going to be bold and honest with stuff now. If you were to make this trade, you have nobody rebounding the basketball at all. Literally nobody. It makes no sense to me. Nobody's going to go out and rebound the ball. Evan Mobley would be your only option. DeAndre Hunter, Dean Wade, Larry Nance maybe. Now, you want an efficient rebounder on the Cavaliers. And although I don't think Jarrett Allen is the best player, he needs some help at the backup center position. And trading him to get Matas and Dosunmu would be practically one of the stupidest trades I've seen for a Cavs team who's currently trying to win now, especially with the fact that it seems as if there's, something about LeBron going on in the next season, which I'll talk about in my next video, hint, hint. But this trade makes almost no sense. I think this is the Bulls just trying to get a center to replace Vucevic, because I think Vucevic could be a cool backup center for the Cavs if he would sign for a vet minimum. But that's not going to happen. Vuce is not going to sign for a vet minimum, so it comes down to, will the Cavaliers make any sort of trade like this? This season will not happen. Again, this is just a Sports Illustrated writer proposing a mock trade. I'm not saying this is going to happen. All I'm saying is that this is an absurd trade that really shows that a lot of insiders don't value Jarrett Allen that highly, or this is just a biased Bulls writer who really wants a center to replace Vucevic and is okay with giving up Matas and Dosunmu just for Jarrett Allen. Because if you are the Cavs, you do not want to make this trade at all. You want to keep Jarrett Allen, and you say no to a deal like this. But as I said, does this show you that a lot of people aren't really valuing Jarrett Allen that highly? Because I know as fans, a lot of you guys have said that the biggest issue with the Cavaliers is Jarrett Allen, actually. I know a lot of you guys are also big defenders of Jarrett Allen, saying there's no reason to get rid of him. We just need a backup and all this nonsense. For me personally, I think I'm okay with getting rid of him in the future, or I guess after this season or midway through the season, if you have a center replacement, like a specifically stretch big man, such as Miles Turner, who obviously they can't get Miles Turner because he's on the Bucks. But if you were to have a guy like Miles Turner, I'd be comfortable with getting rid of Jarrett Allen because I want a physical stretch center. And unfortunately, Jarrett Allen doesn't bring that quite yet. But anyways, that's it for me today, just to show you guys a genuinely absurd trade and the low value that some people have on Jarrett Allen. But thank you guys for joining me here on Cavs Digest. I'm Matt Palange. Go ahead and comment what you think about this trade. Subscribe to this video and be ready for my next video. Me and Darius are pushing out as quality of content as we're trying our best to do. Give us advice in the comment. We'll always read your opinions and your guys' advice. So thank you guys for joining me here on Cavs Digest.